This is the Holyoke City Council's Finance Committee. My name is Joe McGiverin. I am the chair. Next to me is Peter Tallman. Also members of the committee joining us by Zoom are Kevin Jourdain and, at the moment, Kevin Jourdain. We're expecting Juan Anderson Burgos shortly. And also not members, but city councilors with us, Linda Vacan. And at the moment, that is it. We are going to proceed a couple items out of order, not per special request, but for legitimate reasons. So if one other member, Juan Anderson Burgos, has joined us via Zoom. Before I forget, Councilor Tallman, we are live this evening. We are being recorded. We are on channel 15, the Access channel. We are on Zoom. We are being streamed. And some of us are here in the chambers, but it's all good. And we will get to this agenda as quickly as possible. Councilor Tallman?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go out of order and take number 9 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Thank you. That we proceed to item number 9 first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have our city engineer with us, joined by a very special guest who we will introduce in a moment. Number 9 is, in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A, the City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the FY23 Shared Streets and Spaces $200,000 no match grant and authorizes establishment of a fund and/or other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts, expenditures of resources associated with the administration of said grant. Bob Parent is with us. Bob is our engineer for the moment, and we're trying to talk him into be our engineer or part of our engineering staff for moments to come. But Bob, could you introduce our new guest?
Certainly. As you know, I will be the city engineer through June 23rd. As of June 24th, Chris Baker, who's sitting to my right, will be taking over as city engineer. I will still be around for a good part of the month of July, and after that, I'm not sure what my game plans are. I, at this point, will turn things over to Chris because I wanted to make certain I didn't do all the talking tonight, so Chris is going to pick this up and go with it.
And for the record, this is not a goodbye party, and we're not going to say goodbye because we're going to hang on to you as long as we can. And Chris, that means no disrespect to you, but certainly we appreciate what you've done for the city throughout your tenure. Chris, welcome to the Finance Committee. I know this is your first City Council Finance Committee for the City of Holyoke. What we're looking at is a grant. Our job is to, just answer, to figure out what the grant is about, to answer questions and to ask questions, hopefully that you can answer. And if you could just start off with a brief explanation of this grant and how it's going to be used.
Absolutely. So the grant is it's a shared streets and spaces grant from Mass DOT, and this is the third grant of this type that the city has won. This one is a little bit different. It's being administered by Mass DOT, and they would like to know and accept the scope of work before we do it. So they're having a little more oversight than they had the past 2 grant cycles. So in the grant application for this particular $200,000 was 6 raised crosswalks. 2 of them were on Appleton Street. Those are still proposed to be done. It's between the first level and second level canal. Another set of raised crosswalks was proposed on Sargent Street, and that is near, near Rowan Park, and there were 2 that were installed on West Franklin, so these would be very similar to that, just on Sargent. And then the other 2 that were proposed in the application were on Homestead. But after looking at that street, and it was in front of the school, and after looking at that a little more closely, the average daily traffic there is a little too high to put raised crosswalks there because it's really a major collector or arterial roadway, so it's not recommended that we put them there. We're currently looking at some other alternatives, alternative locations for the other 2 raised crosswalks. Looking at location near Springdale Park, but nothing's decided yet. So, and whatever we do decide to change in the grant application to move the raised crosswalks from Homestead to another location will have to be accepted by Mass DOT before we move forward. But as you said, this grant it's $200,000 and there's no city match.
And the approximate cost per pair of raised sidewalks would be the,
Yeah, so each, it's estimated about $40,000 each. So we're hoping it comes in less. So we're planning to do 6 and hoping the cost comes in less. But we're gonna do what we can.
okay. Any questions from the committee? Any questions? Councilor Dahlman?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. On the ones on Sargent Street, are those the ones that we looked at, they're sort of similar in location as they were on West Franklin, or are they a different part of the neighborhood?
Yep, they are similar. One of them will be located on Chapman Ave, on the west side of the park. The second one was originally proposed to be on St. Jerome Ave, but it's actually there's already a 4-way controlled
Four-way stop.
stop there. So we're planning to move it down. We don't really want to put it on Magnolia because there's that turn right there, so it might be a little dangerous. Down to Sycamore, so it'll be a little further away from the park, but still in a location where I think people, tend to go fast on that roadway. So.
Okay.
Yep, and also to mention, which I didn't, is that there's rectangular rapid flashing beacons associated with each of these that will be installed on either side of the crosswalk. So the push button rapid flashing
okay.
beacons, yeah, similar to the ones that were installed on West Franklin and in front of Dean and the newer ones.
Yeah, I think those are great. As a matter of fact, I just saw the ones up by Kennedy Park, I believe, on Nonotuck and Lincoln Street. I think they worked out great. Somebody's there in the flashing. So is that, with the raised crosswalk and that beacon, is that included, that price of $40,000?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Members of the committee, any city councilors, anybody else? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the provisions of the fiscal 23 shared streets and spaces $200,000 grant.
Motion has been made and seconded. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So moved.
Aye.
Chris, just for your information, we now will recommend to the full city council, our last meeting of the fiscal year for the full city council is next Tuesday. You do not have to be present, but we'll relay all your information and certainly answer any questions of councilors that may not be here this evening. But thank you. Pleasure to meet you and welcome to Holyoke.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank
Do
you.
not expect to go first next time for the finance committee.
First and only time, right?
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go out of order and take item number 8 off the table for discussion.
Motion made and seconded to take item number 8 off the table for discussion. And I'm going to surprise our special in-house guest with the possibility of, there's a second, number 8's the surprise, then number 6. Never mind, number 8. I'm getting mixed up. Dale, come on in from our fire department. You have a seat. If you hit the button, the light will turn green. The administrative assistant of the fire department, most of us just call her chief. And we welcome you here, a 28-year career with the fire department. And an incredible service to the city, incredible service to the fire department. What we have before us is a request of a transfer. This particular transfer within the fire department budget is for $11,350.66 from firefighters into the pay assistant supervisor, the same amount. Thank you and welcome. Could you just walk us through the reason for the request?
Well, back in November, Assistant Superintendent DeJuck retired from the fire department. And within our personal services side, there's always shortfalls when there are promotions. People make different pay rates that we can't budget for, can't foresee for. And so these minor shortfalls, I find money within our budget to plug them in to make sure that we can pay people till the end of the fiscal year. In this particular case, I thought with the retirement of Assistant Superintendent Juck that I had this $11,350.66 that I could use to fill in holes and gaps within the personal services side. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. I forgot we promoted someone else, and there was no gap in time to get funds. So it should have all came out of the firefighters line item, and I need to take money from firefighters and put it back in to cover the superintendent, the current assistant superintendent's pay until the end of the fiscal year.
And learn from the fans, you never say a mistake, okay?
No, sorry.
On the firefighters, I think we know the answer, but we'd like to get it on record. Why is there extra money in the firefighters?
When there are retirements, it's not easy. It's not like you can hire somebody right away. There's usually a gap of time. So there's usually a bit of salary left over during that gap of time that we can use to put in other areas of the personal services side to, like a firefighter goes from firefighter to lieutenant, that funds that we had budgeted for that firefighter are still sitting there. We can take those funds and move them with the promoted lieutenant into the lieutenant's line item to cover the rest of that salary for that fiscal year. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. That's what we kind of anticipated, but when we do any transfers, we like to know where it's coming from, why, and then where it's going. Of course, you've answered both very well. Are there any questions from the committee? If any questions from city councilors? If no questions, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer for firefighters to pay assistant supervisor alarms.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to adopt and recommend the transfer to the full city council next Tuesday. If no further discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Dale, thank you, and thank you for
Dale.
your service. It's always a pleasure to see you, and don't let our new chief get out of hand too quick, all right? You're in charge.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, Dale.
Let's see, Aaron, do you?
No. This is
So I think- I did. We can just go in order. Yeah,
Okay.
he's not
Not
there.
seeing there yet. Yeah.
Unless, I always forget to do this.
Move it around. I don't forget. Doesn't really move actually.
Or is it?
Oh, there you go. Tanya and Sharon.
No.
No.
Okay.
And panelists are right there, yeah. There you go.
All right, we'll just go in order.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to take item number 1 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Item number 1 is that there be and hereby appropriated by transfer in fiscal year 2023 from 2022 free cash, into fiscal 2023 in the year 2022, free cash in the sum of $50,000 to the Capital Stabilization Fund, newly created by the City Council. On the motion to take off the table, all those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. We have Mayor Garcia with us, and we also have our auditor online, Tanya Dojek. Mayor, Tanya, we debated this and had it in committee twice now, and we just created the fund where the money is going, but would anyone care just to, for our listening audience, explain this transfer?
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Chairman. So just for those that are listening, here we are. I think it's been talked about for a very long time to establish a capital stabilization account to help us further plan and address capital needs as they appear When free cash became certified, part of the strategy was to not only to establish that capital account first, then to transfer a dollar amount, in this case it's $50,000, into that account to get it started. And that's where we are.
Thank you. Tanya, did you want to add anything?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, and everybody's comfortable. I know the ordinance committee did a great job on the creation of the stabilization fund, so we're all set there. And Tanya, you remind me, you said in order to do this, we have to create the stabilization fund the prior year to be able to put money into it next year.
That's correct.
Okay. Wasn't sure if I had it correct, but you always say I'm correct even when I'm not.
Oh, no, I don't.
That's true. Is there any questions from the committee? Councilor Tallman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate you doing this since we had some free cash to try to start the stabilization fund. As it's been a number of years since we've had a capital account, and I'm just happy that it has been created with the ordinance. Is this something? I mean, 50,000 is a start, but I mean, our capital needs are going to be great in the future years. Is this something that you plan on doing, like, in a regular basis, year to year?
Absolutely. I think so. What we want to do, and we are working with the DOR to establish a set of financial management policies. Ideally, we'd have a policy of a percentage, when free cash is certified, a percentage of that. Let's say the policy is 3% of that free cash will go into, in this case we have 2 stabilizations, so we'd have to determine how you want to invest. But a dollar amount that would go into that account every year when free cash is certified. Also, I think there is an interesting opportunity too. It's just not an interesting opportunity, but again, it's just another strategy that if and when there's surplus available, an opportunity there to do those transfers. So the idea is to build that account up. We're working on a capital improvement plan, and if and when that plan is ready, or as capital needs do appear, and I could think of a few that are on the top of my head, at that point where I'll be coming to the council, and the council and I, we can work together in how we keep up with those investments, contingent on what we have available in the capital stabilization account. But ideally, we want to continue to invest in there and allow it to grow, so that we have some flexibility there to address needs as they appear accordingly.
So actually, it'll be similar to the other stabilization accounts we have, where it'll be gaining interest funds as we put money in. It'll be gaining some interest.
I believe so. I think Tanya is probably the expert in that area, but my guess is yes. Right, Tanya?
Tanya, is that something that'll happen? Yeah.
It's no different than other stabilizations,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, I'm all set.
Well,
Thank you.
Just remind us, Tanya, I know in our quote-unquote rainy day fund, the interest now stays with the fund. At one time, the state had changed that language. The interest was used elsewhere, but on all stabilization funds, the interest stays within the specific fund?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's a 2/3 vote for whatever the mayor proposes to use out of any stabilization fund at all times, correct?
Yep, that's also correct.
See, I told you, you always say I'm right. Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be jumping ahead just a tiny bit, but I just wanted to thank Mayor Garcia for following through on putting funding into this stabilization account and the other 2 items that are coming up, so I won't be repeating myself and taking up time in your meeting. I just want you, Mr. Mayor, to know that I really appreciate your follow-through. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
And the only thing I would add, Mayor, and I think you're aware of it, the city has made it through different mayors, through different efforts, what's called a 5-year stabilization fund, and I think you've already addressed that. You're actually looking to do more than a 5-year capital outlay needs, list itself. And, which is important to us because we don't see the capital outlay list in the budget. And to know what the needs are out there helps us when we make our decisions as we go along with the big picture, not just a one at a time request.
Yep, nope, you're hitting the nail right on the head, Counselor. That's the direction we want to go. It's being worked on as we speak. It'll take some time as we continue to investigate, all our needs from buildings to large capital, be it vehicles or, capital needs of our buildings, whether if it's heating and cooling issues and, things that are over $5,000 or $10,000. But until we get there, there will be things that'll appear and we can assess them accordingly and make a decision together as to, how we can make those investments in the short term until we have a decent list that helps rate conditions of equipment and, when things need to be retired out, when we need to buy new versus that actual plan that you're referring to so that it helps us, so that it helps guide us to feel good about the decisions we're making when we're making these investments.
Absolutely. Any further discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of $50,000 from free cash to $50,000 capital stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve this transfer request of free cash this year into the stabilization fund beginning next year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take item number 2 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion has made and seconded to take item number 2 off the table for discussion. Item 2 is a request for a similar transfer of $293,000 from the Sewer Enterprise free cash line item to the Sewer Enterprise Stabilization Fund. The motion to take off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Mayor, not to be redundant, but this is a little different, being that we are in the first time we've seen free cash in the Sewer Enterprise Fund in, I think, 20 years.
It's the Enterprise's version of free cash. It's called retained earnings.
Okay.
And that's, for the first time, I guess, from what I hear in a very long time, you got to witness some retained earnings certified out of this enterprise account. And so what we want to do here is squirrel it away in its own stabilization account for when you need it. And hopefully as we continue to operate and the sewer services improve, you'll continue to build retained earnings, and you can invest those accordingly, be it into your newly established stabilization account or actual investments into the operations, whether, again, equipment, infrastructure, other needs as funding allows. So we're trying to tee it up here and use it when we need it.
Thank you. I love hybrid. Zoom is important during the pandemic and now, but sometimes managing hybrid is always difficult. Is there anyone else here from the DPW? I don't think we invited anyone, Jeff, or from Suez, which I don't think we invited either. Our auditor's here. Tanya, did you want to add anything to what the mayor said?
No, thank you.
And I think we all know that the Sewer Enterprise Fund has been doing much better in terms of collections, which is, I think, I don't want to read into this, but I think part of why we have retained earnings this year. And we want to thank the water department for allowing the DPW to shut off people who are not paying their sewer bill, to actually shut off their water in an effort to collect any arrears. And I believe that the last percentage I heard of that increased our arrears collections twofold. It made a big difference. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $293,000 from the sewer enterprise free cash to the sewer enterprise stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the transfer. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Keep looking for Aaron.
I don't see him. Yeah, I don't see him yet.
All right, we'll keep an eye.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to take item number 3 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to take item 3 off the table. Item 3 is the request from the school department of other expenses, $1 million, to the stabilization fund for $1 million. This stabilization fund will be what we call our rainy day stabilization fund. The motion to take off the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have with us from the school department, Mickey Buell. Buell. Thank you, Mickey. Sorry, I actually was trying to read it. I should have just said it. We welcome you, and this is a little bit of an unusual, transfer, but not certainly welcome. But would you like to walk us through why this amount of $1 million and other expenses is available?
Yeah, sure. It is clearly pandemic related. So the massive changes in enrollment and attendance patterns over the last 2 years have very much changed the game in our transportation projections and demands. And so it all has to do with the changing demographics and uncertainty around that. And so we ended up, for this current fiscal year that is ending, returning to our projections for the pre-pandemic enrollment patterns, and not that many students return, and especially in the early grades, which is the hardest to project. And so that's the leading cause why we have these funds to return.
So, and the savings, I think I heard you say, is because of the less cost for the bus contract, or less cost for transportation?
So, I mean, there's two things. If you remember when Anthony and I came to the city council last time and talked about the budget, we thanked you for the ability to extend the contract with our existing providers, and that was a big plus. Okay. If that had not happened, we certainly would not have this $1 million to be able to return. So that was a big plus. So the rate stayed the same. There were a couple effects that make it very hard for us to project accurately, like from year to year, because the pandemic just changed the patterns. And we took over routing from the contractor during this period. And so we're trying to make sure we got more efficient with routing. We believe that we got more efficient with routing, and the reduction in the number of students attending changed the number of buses that we needed on the road.
Thank you. Thank you, Mickey. And actually, it had slipped my mind, but as soon as you said it, I did remember, and I appreciate that. Are there any questions?
Yeah, that was a big impact, a huge impact that we were able to keep those rates the same. So, yeah, we want to thank you again for that.
Any questions or discussion? Mayor Garcia.
No.
Kevin, can you on one?
Go for it, Kevin.
Right, Councilor Jordan, go ahead.
Okay, just one clarifying question was, this is going into our regular stabilization account, right? This money, this isn't some other earmarked account?
Correct. Tanya, do you want to just verify that I'm correct again?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So that,
all right.
Can the mayor weigh in on that? He just wants to say something on that question.
to Councilor Jordan, and that's why I was raising my hand. So right now, as it exists, yes, it's going into stabilization. What I wanted to bring to your attention and see if this is something at all you'll support, and if not, it's okay. What I wanted to do originally was to move this $1 million to the capital stabilization. The conflict currently is that it's a current year appropriation or and the capital account wouldn't start till, I think, July 1, and Tanya can probably explain this a lot better than me. So I couldn't propose to move that $1 million to the capital stabilization. It'd be great if, we can put it in there in the regular stabilization and then later submit a transfer and move it into the capital stabilization, and now you'll have a healthy 1 million plus the 50,000 to work on some capital projects earlier on in the fiscal year. It's a strategy to help tackle some things, but again, if that's not anything the council would want to support, that's fine too.
Councilor Jordan?
So what essentially happened is we met all of our minimum net school spending for the current fiscal year, and so this is an excess $1 million that can come back to the city, essentially, right, Mickey? Is that it, or?
Yeah, that's correct. So all of the transportation costs are outside of net school spending. So this is entirely within the transportation section of the budget.
Okay. All right. This is, obviously this is very good news for us. We appreciate that. Great. I don't think we've ever received a transfer of this nature back to the city.
Well, and I just want to say it is definitely pandemic related. So,
right.
It's another strange outcome of the pandemic that money starts to fall from trees all over the place. And this was a reduction in cost. We can't quite tell how much of it's due to routing improvements and how much of it's due to the enrollment changes. And I would note that rate stabilization was enormous. I mean, but we have to go back out to bid for 24. We're going to be facing whatever the $5 gas costs are and the impact on that. So it is nice to have this now, and it could be like a blip, a pandemic related blip. And we have to see how our enrollment's going to stabilize. So most of the enrollment decline was in the very early grades, which are by far the hardest to project. And the early grades came back up from the pandemic, the pre-pandemic year. They went way down in the remote year, and then they started to come back. And it's really hard to know how much are they going to come back yet. So I think we all are going to be faced with some uncertainty for the next 2 years of what is our baseline going to reset.
Right. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. All right. Hey, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll stay in close contact with each other as we see how things develop over the next year.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Councilor Tomlin.
Yeah, thank you, Mickey, for explaining that. And I know with the changes of the bus, and I know it was a big thing that Mr. Soto brought to us a couple years ago about trying to keep that bus contract extended. It made a big difference during COVID, because I know that would have been a really jump in cost if we didn't do that. So I'm glad he brought that to the council, and I'm glad we could be able to do that, as part of this money is because of that, extending that contract at that time. And to the mayor, I think, it's up to my colleagues, but I think that would be a great idea to try to put that into the capital stabilization fund if we can in the next fiscal year, because that'll give us a healthy amount in there for things that can come up, new fire truck or a new dump truck for the DPW. $1 million can go a long way. So I think as time goes on into the new fiscal year, I think that'll be a good discussion for the full council.
Mickey, thank you. It's greatly appreciated, and we understand we're not going to expect it every year, but it's in this day and age, it's well needed, and I know the mayor will make some great proposals next year. The good thing is, once it goes into stabilization, it immediately starts earning money for the city too, so the timing is good. Mayor Garcia.
So when you report back to the council, I was hoping you can make that note, because I know we don't like to touch into our regular stabilization unless there's an emergency. But if we haven't, if that's an agreed upon strategy, you know, it's in the back of our minds so that, you know, folks will be okay with a yes vote, knowing that that was it, right? That we're putting $1 million in here in the hopes that we can move it into capital and do capital projects. So it helps kind of de-escalate that concern. This isn't an emergency. You know what I mean? So if you just make that note for the record, so that if and when we do get to a point where we submit that order, you know, people will know. We'll be able to refer back to the previous discussion. So.
You know, Councilor Jordan, I'm not sure, but he's been mayor for about 8 months, and he's telling me how to do my job here.
Yeah, no kidding here.
Councilor Jordan.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The only thing I would say, Mayor, is I'm not opposed to a capital stabilization fund, but I would like to think about that some more, probably talk to you some more, talk to some of the other counselors some more about it, as opposed to, is that necessarily overcomplicating it? We have a stabilization that can be used for capital or operations. Do we really need another separate account?
Okay.
Like, what are the pros and cons? I don't know. I didn't think we were going to get into that tonight, but that would be my only question. But I don't have an opinion on it yet. I need to research it some more. But I definitely take into the spirit of what you're saying, because the goal here would be to avoid bonding or something for some other capital need. I don't know if you have a capital need in mind for immediately for the $1 million. I don't know if you're laying out certain things, but you know, let's keep the conversation going.
Okay.
You all set?
Is there any further discussion? And Mayor, of course, I will make that note to the full city council.
Kevin just made it.
Councilor
Motion to
Jordan?
be approved.
I'll second that.
Motion
Make a
made,
motion to
second
be
to
approved.
adopt and recommend this transfer from the school department into the stabilization fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This will be reported next week to the city council. Mickey, thank you, and we greatly appreciate it again.
Thank you very much.
Chair's going to ask, we have a request for a very special reason. If Councilor Tomlin can make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to take out of order items number 5 and 6 for discussion.
Motion made and seconded to take items 5 and 6 out of order. Our OPED
Second.
director / planning director is coming to us. We're not going to say in the car on the way to Boston, but maybe in Boston. On that motion to take out of the motion to take out of order. All those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
So moved. First one, Aaron Vega is with us via Zoom. First one is under Mass General Laws 44, Section 53A, the City Council accepts the provisions of the Regional Economic Development Organization grant of $25,000, no match, grant, and authorizes the establishment of fund and/or other methods appropriate for the accounting of receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grants. Off the table, all those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? So moved. Aaron, welcome, and thank you for joining us from not that far away.
No, still in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Still in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
My old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for taking me out of order, and happy to report that this grant is the first grant received by one of our new staff members, Jennifer Key. First grant she applied for. We did ask for $80,000, but we got $25,000. And this is part of the Rapid Recovery Program that we have been part of, and as we try to support small businesses and downtown development. We are utilizing this grant for what we would call a permanent pop-up shop, or at least as permanent as we can afford to do it. Based on the model in this part of the state, the eastern part of the state, Project Pop-Up, we sort of copied their platform. We'll be occupying a storefront on High Street that is currently vacant, working with the building owner there. We'll be working with a number of partners, people from, namely Jeff Bianchini, who some of you know, down at the print shop, who's done these pop-up shops throughout the city over the last few years. You're familiar with pop-up shops. They usually happen around the holidays. Of course, they happen during Celebrate Holyoke. You'll see some obviously this Saturday at the Pride Festival. So this idea would be to have a permanent pop-up shop where we support local artisans, startup businesses, entrepreneurs, where they cannot afford a bricks and mortar location. We would have this location for them and at no cost to them. In fact, what we would be doing is we would be working out an arrangement to just take a percentage of their sales that would go towards the fund to keep this business going, or this bricks and mortar pop-up shop going. So no entry cost for local Holyoke-based entrepreneurs and startup businesses. Obviously, I don't know if she's on the Zoom, but Councilor Tessa Murphy-Ramboletti probably can't vote on this because E4All is a partner, but obviously worked with some of the entrepreneurs that have gone through that program. So we're really happy to get this going, and hopefully we can make it sustainable with the vendors that will be coming in. And again, as I mentioned, just taking a percentage of their sales to go towards the fund to support the shop. So yeah, this was run through the Western Mass EDC. There is no match, and I think that's the main point. Happy to answer any questions.
Aaron, just a quick question. Fantastic, very, very intriguing, proposal. The money, the percentage of sales, is that funneled back into the grant, or is that going to be funneled into like a revolving account?
Oh, good question. Thank you for that. It'll be put into a revolving account. The Chamber is another one of our partners. So we'll be setting up a fund through the Chamber that would go to. So again, we're trying to, a lot of the effort right now with my office is to re-embolden and prop up the Chamber. Jordan Hart's doing a great job, but she's obviously a staff of pretty much one. So this is something that, again, with collaboration with the Chamber, they would be creating the account. And again, it would go into a stabilization account for the pop-up shop. It would not go back to the grant, would not come back to the city. We're hoping, again, what my office does is, as you're all aware, we get things started and we hope that it gets picked up by somebody else, right? The El Corazon art projects that we see started, through the OPED office, and now is run by Nueva Esperanza. This is something that we hope we will do. We'll get started, and hopefully the Chamber will be able to maintain it along with the print shop and the vendors themselves.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak besides Aaron? I don't see anyone. Any discussion from the committee or other city councilors? Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve the Regional Economic Development Organizational Grant for $25,000, no match.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve this transfer, recommended to the full city council next week. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
One more.
Yep.
Motion to take item number 6 off the table.
Second.
Motion made and second to take item 6 off the table. This is a request of transfer $207.64 from temp seasonal to overtime. Off the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Aaron?
Yep, thank you. So I was, again, grateful to be working with the council this last fiscal year to have a little bit of money into our overtime budget. The year before I was there was a very busy time, and the staff has some turnover, as you know. $5,000 would have been enough to get us through the year completely, but the last few months, given we had new staff come on, Sharon, who you all know, has just stepped up as a real champion in the office. So she's been covering. She had to cover a few extra meetings over the last couple of months that weren't necessarily planning board meetings, which is usually her purview. So there's just been a little extra work on her end, and I'm really trying to be mindful, and as all the negotiations are going on with contracts and whatnot, accruing time for these clerks, it's good, it comes back to them, but it's not equitable for someone like Sharon, who often puts in, 15 to 20 hours of overtime a month with the planning board meetings all at night and some of the extra work there. So, 10 to 15 hours a month. So we've been able to work on it. We have staff now, so we should be able to stay within our budget in this next fiscal year. So we just went a little bit over. There was a couple extra planning board meetings of recent as we're trying to deal with a few issues and trying to make sure we get those issues addressed before John Kelly leaves. John Kelly, as you know, has asked to not be reappointed to the planning board. So there's just been a couple extra meetings the last month or two dealing with some of the ongoing projects. So this will obviously cover the rest of the fiscal year, but I also think that we have a good plan in place and good staff in place that we will be able to avoid using as much overtime as we can.
Thank you. Is there any questions or discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of temp seasonal 20764 into overtime 20764.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the transfer request. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Aaron, you
Thank
going
you
to the
very
Celtic
much.
game?
They playing
No, I
tonight?
wish
No,
I
it's
was.
tomorrow
I
night.
wish I
It's
was.
tomorrow night. I'm just kidding.
He's at Fenway, I think.
Thank you.
all. Have a
Thank
great
you
rest
for
Thank you, Aaron.
taking
Thank you.
time out from the good city of Boston.
Absolutely. Will do. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Right.
Motion to
Night.
take item number 7 off the table for discussion.
Motion made second to take item 7 off the table for discussion.
Second.
This is the 2023 CPA budget for the city council approval. The budget is usually a projection of anticipated revenue from CPA collections as well as the anticipated state match. This year's match from DOR is estimated at 35%, which is based on previous year's allocations. Motion to take off the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Do we have a representative from our CPA committee, or
doing? This is 7 though, Joe.
what did I do?
You got 4, I think. I went to 7.
Yeah.
John Hart.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said 7, and I read 4.
Yeah. We do got to get to 4, but now that it called 7, John Hart's here for this. You want to do 4?
Oh, no, it's, I read it.
Yeah.
Is there anybody here from CPA? All right, then why don't we,
They were invited, but maybe Amy did decline the invite, but nobody else arrived.
okay, so why don't we'll hang on to it, see if someone is going to join us shortly, and hopefully Councilor Izzy Rivera will be joining us to discuss it as a member. Chair apologizes. We'll go to item number 7 in order. This is in accordance with Mass General Laws 44, Section 53A. The City Council hereby accepts the provisions of the Diverting Juveniles and Emerging Adults from Criminal Justice Involvement $50,000 grant with no match, and authorize the establishment of the fund and any other method appropriate for the accounting of the receipts and expenditures of all resources associated with the administration of said grant. Off the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We do have Lieutenant Hart with us. John, welcome. Appreciate you being here. Would you like to, you know the drill, would you like to walk us through the grant?
Sure. This is the juvenile diversion grant that we get through the Department of Probation through the state. It's $50,000. $42,000 goes to the Hoyoke Boys and Girls Club, and $8,000 goes to the police department. The Boys Club, with that money, helps to prevent youth from getting in trouble during the year, gang prevention, and staying out of jail and in the criminal justice system. And they have several programs that they run. They also include membership fees for those youth that can't afford memberships. They do community job placements, after school programs. They do a lot of work there, and the police department's portion is mainly for supporting those activities and conducting outreach. We have a in-kind match of $5,000 through our mobile community policing efforts through the Shannon Grant, and the Boys and Girls Club have a $15,000 in-kind match through their mass mentoring partnerships.
Yeah, I'm going to excuse myself.
Okay.
Because I forget if they have a conflict or not.
Okay.
Thank you, Lieutenant Hart. As a member of the probation department here in Hoyoke, I don't believe I have a conflict, and I'm pretty sure last year when this grant came in, I filed the necessary disclosure. But at the moment, I have not filed the disclosure for this year, so I'm going to excuse myself from voting and discussion and turn it over to Councilor Jordan is the vice chair, but
Yeah.
Kevin, you want Councilor Tomlin just to run it because we're in chambers?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Sergeant Hart, and, or Lieutenant Hart. Any other questions from anybody in the committee?
I make a motion to be approved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
It's 3 and 1 abstained. The grant has been accepted. Thank you.
I make a motion to remove Peter Tallman and reinstall Joe McGivern.
I'll second that.
Gladly accepted. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Okay, where are we?
You want to try 4 or you want to wait?
I don't see anybody.
Okay, well, number 10. Motion to take number 10 off the table for discussion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to take item 10 off the table for discussion. This is a request to transfer of $304.71 from education and training to overtime, $304.71. Off the table for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This is from the purchasing department. Our purchasing director did give me a call. She apologizes. She has a family commitment and cannot make it with us this evening. We've done a similar transfer this fiscal year. She said this will be the last one. Most of us know that we've had a couple of vacancies. Unfortunately, one to the passing of a longtime person within the clerical position of the department itself. And she's been using what her staff to do with overtime hours to catch up with or keep up with the amount of work. Lori Belangers again apologizes for not being here, but she will be. I think I can answer any questions if there are any, and she will make herself available next week if necessary. Is there any discussion? Seeing none?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $304.71 from education and training to overtime in the purchasing department.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the transfer. Recommend that to the full city council next Tuesday. If there's no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
We got item 11.
Yep.
Motion to take item number 11 off the table for discussion.
Motion made and seconded to take item 11 off the table for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This is a request to transfer of $50,000 from Veterans Benefits Direct into claims and damages. Off the table for discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. This is a request to cover a workman's comp claim. Our city solicitor was with us and today to talk about this at the last meeting, but we also have Attorney Bissonnette with us this evening to go over it with us. Michael, welcome. Would you just like to walk us through the request? First of all, Mike, let me explain or remind everyone why we know we've had a surplus in this line item. Jesus Pereira's been with us on 2 occasions, plus we talked about it in the budget hearings about the amount of money that's been surplus and the estimated number of veterans that looked for benefits this year. We're not sure why, but the actual number was down from previous years. So, Attorney Bissonnette, if you could just walk us through the reason for the claims, the workman's comp claims and damage.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The claims and damages account is running short, largely due to the settlement of workers' compensation claims through our Human Resources Department and our Law Department that were incurred under the DPW workplace environment. The situation was a little exacerbated this fiscal year as law tried to clean up several open, smaller, minor cases that were either already in litigation or had been forwarded to the law department with the threat of litigation. Kudos to the solicitor and to Attorney Degnan. They've done a great job cleaning that stuff up, but unfortunately it has left this account slightly short. As we finish up the fiscal year, we were able to close out a couple of these workers' comps. One of them substantial, but it certainly has cleared the city of exposure on that matter. So we'd ask that that be approved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions? Councilor Jordan.
Yes, a couple of things. The transfer request is to go from free cash to claims and damages, not to workers' comp, correct?
Not free cash, veterans benefits.
Right, from veterans to.
Oh, excuse me, from veterans to,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand what's going on here. So we have people that were injured in the course of their job. These were workers' comp claims?
Correct.
Okay. So in Massachusetts, as I'm sure you're well aware, you can't sue your employer for a workers' comp claim, right? That's one of the whole points of the statute. So we pay that, there's automatic strict liability. So why isn't this just paid as a workers' comp case under the workers' comp line? Why is this claims and damages?
I would have to defer to an executive session for that, but I will say that this claim could encompass things beyond the penumbra of just the workers' comp claim, involving other potential claims against the Department of Public Works, its managers or supervisors. So that's a road law elected to avoid traveling. And while this only has been filed with the Department of Industrial Accidents, the settlement is all encompassing of the other claims as well. Potential other claims as well.
Is there a settlement agreement?
There is.
Can the council be either provided a confidential copy of that so we can see what we're actually, like what's going on here? We haven't had a briefing on this case. This one doesn't ring a bell, Mike, from the last time Lisa came in a few months ago?
No, it doesn't, because the actual situation at that time was the employee had returned to work. And there was a change in his status shortly thereafter. So we thought that one was not going to return, and it has, and frankly, we're happy to make relatively quick work of it because we've been on it for almost a year now.
Is this 50,000 being paid to one person to settle one case, or is how many people we have involved here?
On this settlement, it would be one.
One.
And as to the documents of settlement, yes, the council is entitled to see them. No question.
Okay. I guess I'd like to see that and ask questions, Mr. Chairman. In fairness to Mike, I mean, he has to do his job and come in here and ask for the money, but I don't know if you guys know all the details about this 50,000 you're being asked to approve, but I couldn't tell you if this is good or bad or not. And Mike's kind of in a tough spot here in open session. You know, this is a sensitive litigation issue, but I think we need to either have a brief executive session to discuss it so everybody feels comfortable, or we need to take it one-off with the law department on our own, which I'm happy to do myself. I'll get with Mike or Lisa and find out what's going on here. But I would recommend we probably table this, Mr. Chairman, and we take it out of committee at the next meeting if everybody on the committee is comfortable, or unless you have a better suggestion.
I'll second that motion.
If you can hold on the motion to table for a second, please, and just let me just clarify where we are. Unfortunately, I was looking at our agenda, and we don't have a caveat that we might go into executive session for, it is legit reasons. So I'm uncomfortable doing even a quick executive session right now, and I'm not sure if Attorney Bissonnette
No,
is
no, no, no.
is
Mr. Chairman,
prepared for
I'm
that.
not suggesting now. I'm suggesting on the 25th.
No, I understand. So I think I agree with you. I think we all should, one way or the other, take a look at what we're talking about. We can do it one-on-one if we so wish. We could do it, ask the president to have a quick session for the regular city council meeting next Tuesday. And the reason I say that is because this transfer, if it's going to be adopted, needs to be done by next Tuesday, because we're at the end of the fiscal year 2 weeks later, and there are no other meetings scheduled after the 21st. So with the pleasure of everyone, I'd be happy to ask Todd to call a quick special meeting next Tuesday, or we can just do our own research one-on-one. I'm comfortable either way.
Mr. Chairman?
Counselor Bacon.
I just want to remind you that ordinance is scheduled to meet at 6:30 on the 21st.
Yeah, they have to take up.
Thank you.
Just a friendly reminder.
Yeah, well, that kind of shoots that then.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, just a quick technicality. The posted agenda just does have that caveat. What you have before you was just taken out to cut down on how many pieces of paper are printed.
Thank you, because I knew it was always there, Jeff, and I just didn't see it on what's in my hand. I appreciate that. But I'm not sure if Attorney Bissonnette has the ability to give us anything at the moment. Am I right, Mike?
Yes, you are correct, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
Counselor
so I'll
Jordan.
make the motion. Yeah, I'll make the motion again to table it, and we'll have to figure this out over the next week.
Okay. Motion made and second to table. Understandable. The city council will have the option of taking it out of committee if the city council is ready to do so. There will be no discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Michael, thank you, and
Thank you.
we'll keep this in the radar for what we can do next Tuesday once the information, however we can get the information out to everybody. I know it's delicate, but it does seem like it's appropriate to request the information.
We'll make sure you get what you need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Motion to take item number 12 off the table for discussion.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded to take item 12 off the table for discussion. This is a transfer of $2,865 from Veterans Benefits Direct to the Administrative Assistant to the City Council. On a motion to take off the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Veterans Benefits Direct, same thing, surplus because of the less amount of veterans that use this. This benefit is, by the way, is something that the city is mandated to fund, but is also, I believe, 75% reimbursed for every dollar that goes to a veteran from the state, from the VA, federal funds itself. This is a request the president, myself, had put into the mayor to pay a salary increase that was recently given to our administrative assistant, connected to his duties and responsibilities that were officially part of the oversight of the Holyoke City website, affectionately called our webmaster now. Jeff has actually took up these duties at the beginning of the year. In doing so, we feel that it's appropriate to give this small retroactive pay that goes along with the duties that Mr. Anderson Burgos took up. I'm guessing that one member of the committee is going to abstain from this.
That is correct.
Thank you. On the record, Councilor Juan Anderson Burgos is abstaining. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Councilor Jordan.
I would like to say that Jeff Anderson Burgos is doing a tremendous job. Very, very impressed, continues to impress, and happily making the motion to support this. So I make a motion to be approved.
I'll second that.
Councilor, a motion has now been made and seconded to adopt and approve this transfer. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Well deserved. We have one item left, and we're going to take it off the table for discussion and make a decision here.
Motion to take item number 4 off the table for discussion.
Motion made and seconded to take item 4 off the table for discussion. This, again, is the 2023 CPA budget. To need the city council approval. The budget is usually a projection of the anticipated revenue from the CPA, and the DOR is estimated match, which was 35% this year. On the motion to take off the table, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have written documentation here. Just, I'll read it very quickly. Appropriations estimated $582,832 local. CPA match estimated at $200,976. The budget, there's a budget breakdown. There are 4 categories that the CPA uses by mandate by the state. They include administrative expenses at $39,190, historical resources $78,380, community housing $78,380, open space $78,380. So it's actually 3 plus the administrative expenses, which total the $509,478 estimated revenues, estimated expenses for budget. CPA's done this in the past where they give us these projections right before the beginning of their year. It has been customary for the city council to review and to adopt the projected budget and expenses accordingly. Any money that is spent by the CPA for every project that they spend it on comes back to the full city council for a final vote.
Make a motion to be approved, Mr. President. This is their,
I'll second
I
that.
believe, sort of the baseline or perfunctory budget. So I see the chairman. I just saw her pop on, so maybe
there
she
she
wants
is.
to speak.
Thank you.
in favor.
Welcome. The chair of the CPA is with us, Meg McGrath Smith. Meg, welcome. Did you hear what I read and put into the record?
Yes. Do you have any questions? Sorry, I'm late. I was just ending a Spanish class.
That's okay. You know, education is always important. And I'm still learning English, and my wife, I tell everybody, speaks 3 languages, and so I really commend you for taking up any Spanish class. Any questions for our chair, CPA chair?
Yeah,
Councilor
just
Jordan.
real quick. Megan, my opinion was that this is just your standard baseline budget that we approve every year to kind of get you going, and pretty straightforward, isn't it? Anything more to it than that, or?
It's straightforward, and it's based off of our most conservative estimate from last year's tax collections. So what we'll often do is come back and ask for an amendment, especially because the state is now in the process of moving another $20 million into the CPA fund. There's often additional rounds of matching. So this is what we conservatively know we will have, but we know that in the next few months, we'll come forward with an amendment asking for, actually, it's $120,000 more than we thought it would be, but we don't have those exact numbers now.
Understood. Okay, I make a motion to be approved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Megan, that was easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Appreciate you coming on. And good luck with the Spanish.
Good luck for the Spanish. Buenos noches. I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made and second to adjourn. Thank you, everybody. It was a great
meeting.
fiscal year, and hopefully we'll get all our work done next Tuesday and take a breather from there on and out for at least a week or 2.
Have a good night.
A motion to adjourn. All those in favor, any opposed, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.